What's up everybody, Chadley here, and today I'm back with another Borderlands 2 video. Today we'll be continuing our perfect build series by taking a look at Gaige the Mechromancer. Before we jump into the build, I just want to say I'm going to be starting some beginner guides, like farming weapons, experience, and so on, because I know a lot of people are returning, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see those. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to go join the Discord server. We're fastly approaching 10k subs, and I have a vote going right now on what we should do to celebrate 10k subs, so go ahead and vote now. The poll will be active for the next 6 days, so go ahead and check that out. Now, I've played a ton of Borderlands 2, and I can easily say that this build is my favorite build to play in Borderlands 2. You're basically a walking steamroller, and there's nothing that can beat this in mobbing potential. This will allow you to get easy peak runs done, as well as fly through heavily mobbed areas. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this build. Okay, to start off this build, we're going to go ahead and look at our weapons first, because I think the weapons will help you understand my choices in the skill tree a little bit better. So first off, this is going to be the gun you're going to be using 90% of the time, and that's your Norfleet. This Norfleet with high anarchy, you are going to murder every single mob that you come across, no problem. This build, you are going to be the best mobber in the game, hands down. I don't think there's another character with another build that can outperform Gaige with this build mobbing. Now, you're not really going to be killing raid bosses with this, but if you want to get through the peak or just other general mobbing or speed leveling, this is going to be the build for you. So after the Norfleet, your second gun, I have a peak opener on right now. Shock weapons are going to be very good for Gaige, but this second weapon slot is just going to be any sort of high pellet weapon. So interfacers work really well. The butcher works really well. The pitchfork is really nice because you actually don't lose that much accuracy even with high anarchy. So that's why this is in here if you want to choose that. The conference call, this is very nice. It does run out of ammo pretty quick though when you're mobbing. You have your other Norfleets here if you are just running against straight flesh mobs or if you're going against some loaders, but 90% of the time you're going to be using the shock one. Then the Slagga can also be used in this spot for just general slagging, and this is a very good weapon to be using when you have high anarchy. The shots are going to be going everywhere, and with close enough you're going to be slagging basically everything in sight. The Flacker also works very well with Gaige. We'll get into why that works so well later with some of her skills. Thunderball Fist, because it's a pretty good shock weapon, and all shock weapons are going to be very good with Gaige. DP, Unkempt Herald, just because this gun is just unreal, and the high pellet counts also helps with close enough and stuff like that. Blockhead, Hydra. Got your Pimpernels here as well, and the Fibber is also going to be really good with Gaige. I use this pretty often in the second slot, but right now I've been using the peak opener. We have your Fire, Bone of the Ancients, as well as a launcher damage one if you want to do that, but I usually just keep the shock Bone of the Ancients on. Then if you want to get really stupid high anarchy, Slayer of Terramorphous class mod is what you're going to be using. Basically, the only time I put this on is if I'm like power leveling in the Pyro Peep bar, but you're really not going to need higher than 400 anarchy with the Norfleet. You're basically going to be one-shotting every mob you see, and once you start getting over 400, there's very few weapons that are actually going to hit anything. Then we have a low-level crossfire here for slagging. Then we have a Quasar, because another good shock weapon for Gaige and grouping enemies. Chain Lightning with Gaige in this. I mean, basically the Chain Lightning, you're going to be insta-healing anyways with the Grog Nozzle out. But with Gaige's shock skills, it's going to be full health immediately. And a Magic Missile. Then with shields, we got an antagonist, a Blockade, Grounded High to Terramorphous. This is good if you end up wanting to change to like a melee Gaige, and then the B if you ever need to use that. And obviously, back to my equipped weapons. the grog nozzle for slagging and healing, and the Logan's gun so you can keep getting infinite rocket ammo. With the sham on, you just go ahead and take your Logan's gun out, look at the floor, shoot the ground, and you're going to be gaining rockets back. So once you're down on Norfleet ammo, go ahead and just pop that out. The sham for the Logan's gun, and so you don't kill yourself. Legendary Anarchist for the weapon damage, and the skills are very nice as well. Then, for probably one of the best grenade mods for Gaige is the electric chair. This is a Stormfront on crack, so highly recommend this grenade. And then, like I said earlier, Shock Bone of the Ancients for the cooldown rate and just overall the shock damage. Now let's go ahead and get into the skills and why I chose those guns. So first, close enough. This is going to be great with those second weapons. Basically, any of those are going to take advantage of this, as the high pellet counts are all going to go into effect with this. And you're just going to be hitting basically everything while not actually hitting anything, which is really nice. Then we're going to get Cooking Up Trouble, all 5 points into there, because with the Norfleet, either your mag is full or empty. So in between shooting and you have that out, you're going to be regaining 2% of your max health every second. Then the better half, fire rate is just always nice, and when your mag is half empty, it's just going to increase by 60%. And then Buck Up is probably the best skill for Death Trap. He's going to almost instantly recharge your shield. Also, you can do the infinite shield glitch if you have him recharging your shield while you travel. I feature this glitch in my top 5 glitches for July, so go ahead and check that out. I'll have a card in the top right, and you guys can click on that. Fancy Mathematics, all 5 points into there for the recharge delay on the shield and the rate. This is because your sham is going to come back much quicker, allowing you to absorb those Norfleet shots more often. Now, we're going to put all 5 points into Unstoppable Force, as the movement speed and the shield regen on a kill is amazing, and when you're mobbing, you're going to be getting a kill all the time. So you're just going to be constantly flying around, getting to new enemies quicker, and this skill will stay up a majority of the time. Then Upshot Robot. This is nice for keeping Death Trap out for Buck Up, and it's only 1 point, so there's no need not to put that in. This build, basically all you're going to be focusing on is damage, so there's no real need for maximum health. Explosive Clap, not really that useful. Death Trap does not do damage. He does not really kill things in later levels, so there's no real point into speccing towards Death Trap damage. Made Sterner stuff is pretty nice, but once again, we're just focusing on damage in this build, so we're going to ignore that. And it would only be a 5% damage reduction, so it's not a ton, so not really worth it. 20% cooler, you can use this skill, but we're just going to kind of ignore it for right now. When you're getting kills, Death Trap's going to be out a lot anyways, so I wouldn't worry about him coming back, and it's not even a long cooldown, it's just a minute. So I wouldn't really worry about that. Then, to help keep Death Trap out longer when you're wearing your sham, Sharing is Caring, as he's going to gain the sham as well. So now let's move on to the middle tree. First off, let's start with Mylan. This is really nice for shock damage, resistance, and shield capacity. There's no point not to use this, especially when you're getting 5 extra points from the Legendary Anarchist class mod. Now, more pep. I'm not really a huge fan of it, but I'm not a fan of anything in the second tier even more. So we're going to just put it into more pep. The status effects are not really that useful in later levels in Ultimate Vault Hunter, so we're just going to put those 5 points into there just because Shock Storm, the Stare, and Strength of 5 Gorillas really isn't that nice. But if you want to do some melee, go ahead and just put more pep into Strength of 5 Gorillas. So that will get us to the third tier here. Evil Enchantress, this is really nice for status effect damage, as all of your weapons are going to have some sort of element to them, so no point not to put anything in there. Electrical Burn. This is because all your weapons are going to be doing shock damage almost, so we can add burn damage for free. This is awesome, so 5 points into there. Then death trap abilities, once again, we're just going to ignore those. Not really good. Then wires don't talk. This is going to give you 15% more shock electrocute damage. Always nice to have, especially when you're using all shock weapons. Now, over here, smaller, faster, lighter, and anarchy. That's obviously what you need to be using anyways to get to the second tier, so not really worth explaining that. Then we're going to put all 5 points into pre-shunk cyberpunk, as this is going to be giving us 250 extra stacks, and when you put on the Slayer Terramorphous, you're going to get even more. So right now the max with the legendary anarchist is 400, and if you put on the Slayer of Terramorphous, you're going to get up to 600. Then Discord, this will stop you from accidentally losing all of your anarchy by accidentally reloading. So a very nice skill to have, especially for just 1 point. Then Typecast, Iconoclast. Whenever you gain a stack of anarchy, there's a chance you gain more. This, with the legendary anarchist class mod, you're going to be gaining 60% chance of gaining an additional stack. This can be very useful for gaining anarchy quicker. Then also for gaining anarchy quicker, Rational Anarchist, when you have 0 stacks, you're going to gain 25 instead of 1 on the first one, so it's a good head start for anarchy. Now here is where you're going to have about 5 extra points left and not really anything you want to max out with those 5. So what I did with mine is put 1 point into Blood-Soaked Shields. This is because 20% of your shield coming back is going to be very nice on a kill, especially for only just losing 1% of your current health. This is because once your Northfleet reloads, in half a second, you're going to gain that 1% of health back, so there's no real point to not use that. Now we're going to have 4 points left, and we're going to put 2 into Annoyed Android. This will let Death Trap get to you quicker for Buck Up. Now with the last 2, you're going to want 1 point into the Nth Degree. This is going to get unlocked by putting these 3 points in here. So that is the main reason I use these. And if you want to put more into Blood-Soaked Shields, you're more than welcome to. These 3 points, you can kind of do whatever you'd like, but I would put at least 1 in here into Blood-Soaked Shields. Now we're going to put 1 into the Nth Degree. Every 9th bullet that hits an enemy will reflect towards another enemy. This is where all those high pellet count weapons come into play, as all those pellets counts towards 1 bullet. So if you have a gun that's shooting 9 pellets and all 9 pellets hit an enemy, that 9th pellet will reflect towards another enemy. So this is overall very good skill to have, and the reason why we're not going to put more than 1, even though we have an extra point available, is because there's very strong diminishing returns with the Nth Degree. So either you want to put 1 point into there or 5 points into it. So since we don't have 5, we're just going to put in 1. Now for the last point, I put into Interspersed Outburst. This is for if I'm going to start shooting at somebody not with the Northfleet, there's going to be a chance to slag and do slag damage. So I like that, but you're more than welcome to put this last point wherever you'd like. If you want 1% damage reduction, go for it. Maybe a little bit quicker cooldown, go ahead. Or Shock and Awe for maybe doing some electrocute damage every time you shoot your Northfleet and reload it. But yeah, that last point, put it wherever you would like. Now with this build, all the guns that are really worthwhile are already in your inventory. So the bank just has all the extra legendary class mods, but I don't really use these. I just stick with the legendary anarchist and the Slayer of Terramorphous, depending on what I'm doing. If you're underleveled, go ahead and put on the Slayer of Terramorphous, as you're going to get the extra 200 stacks of anarchy, which is going to help you do a ton extra damage, and you're just going to wreck. But you're also going to miss a lot of your shots. Northfleet's going to be the only real usable thing at that point. So that's going to wrap it up for this build. If you're new to the channel and want to see more, especially those beginner guides that I'm working on, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss those. If you found this build helpful, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video to let me know. If you haven't already, go follow me on Twitch. We're doing a randomizer playthrough, all the way from level 0 to OP10, and it's just a mess and a great time. So go ahead and go follow and turn on notifications so you know next time I go live. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. There you can keep updated with the channel, as well as see some personal sides to my life. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.